All right. Thank you so much for coming and visiting our class today. Mr. Frederick Murphy, we are so grateful to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good and very happy to be here. I appreciate the invite for sure.
Good. Well, I'm sure all the students can now see. So we kind of messed up the secret, I guess, a little bit. But I invited Mr. Frederick Murphy here to talk to you today. He is big on social media. You can find him. What's the name of your website, Instagram, YouTube?
Yeah, so Instagram is History Before Us, and that's all one word, of course, History Before Us, just how it's spelled. Facebook is History Before Us, Twitter is History Before Us, YouTube is History Before Us. I don't do a lot on YouTube, but there's some content that's on YouTube.
Mhm.
TikTok is History Before Us, and website is historybeforeus.com.
All right. So as you all can see, he is an HBCU grad twice.
Yeah,
So definitely TSU, definitely TSU. That was your initial bachelor's.
yep. Undergrad at TSU, Bethune Cookman for my master's.
Okay. And what did you major in? What were your passions when you were their age at TSU or Bethune?
Yeah, so at TSU, I was trying to figure it out. Um, had always been an athlete, so I went into I think it was some type of physical therapist. I was going to go, so I
Okay.
major in like biology or something like that. I
Okay.
can't remember what it was. It was a little while ago. But then just the exposure to various different environments and opportunities to work with people, it kind of pushed me into the realm of counseling, as
Okay.
well as having some family who had already been in the mental health as well as social work and nursing field. So the helping professions, of course. And so with that, I decided to go and I got my undergrad in psychology at Tennessee State, and then went on to Atlanta to get a master's at Georgia School of Professional Psychology. And then in addition to that, I got another master's at Bethune Cookman for transformative leadership.
All right. So amazing. Tons of accolades, tons of degrees. So if you see his website, his TikTok, everything he has going on, his documentaries, you would think he was just like a historian. But like you just said, he is a counselor into psychology. I love that. My dad is a retired therapist. So we are big on mental health, and we talk about that a lot in my classes. So the students will be excited to check out all your stuff, different posts that you make. So today, why I invited you to come talk to us and to get them introduced to you, learning from you, is you did a documentary. When did you actually do the Chief and His Protege in Africatown?
Yeah, so we started filming that in 2020, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was 2020 when we
Okay.
started filming that, and in Mobile, in Africatown, of course,
Mhm.
right next to each other. Um, I was going to an ancestor, well, one of my cousins' funeral. Well, actually, it was his memorial in New Orleans,
Okay.
and I stopped in Africatown along the way because the book had just came out. It was new,
Hmm.
and so I'm there posted up at the Africatown sign to get a picture taken, and then I posted on my social media, and then one of the descendants uh, saw me on the social media post and was like, "Hey, what are you doing in my hood?" And so we're going back and forth with a little bit of banter or what have you. And so she was like, "Well, I'm a descendant of one of the individuals that was on the Catilda," and I'm like, "I just finished up on my second documentary, and I was like, okay, well, do I really have time to put in for another one, right? Like, do I have the resources
Hmm.
to do such?" And I'm like, well, it's not every day that you get this opportunity to talk to this, this type of lineage and everything. And so she said, after months and months of asking, she finally broke down and was like, "Yeah, please come on down and join me." And but I didn't know at the time that the film Descendants was also being done, as well as she's been on, and she is Joycelyn Davis,
Hmm.
who Chief Charles Lewis was one of the chiefs that was taken from Africa. But 60 Minutes, um, National Geographic, Discovery Channel, all
Hmm.
these people have been down there because the Clotilda had been found or what have you, and
Hmm.
gathering her story as well. So we were down there for about 3 days straight, just filming, and had a wonderful time. And then this was released fall of 2021. So we made some quick work of it. It's a short, so it's about roughly around 16 minutes of
Mhm.
screen time. And then the rest is the credits, of course. But yeah, that's how we got rolling on it. Original artwork by a brother up in Canada who's a acclaimed artist. His name is Stan Wani, a brother from the Caribbean, and he saw my vision. And that's Joycelyn, the little girl that's looking at the ship, right? And
Mhm.
that's Chief Charlie Aluale was his African name.
Mhm.
Charles was right there. Her fourth great grandfather, or maybe third, and then that's Mother Africa right there with the hood on, and so it was just beautiful,
That
and
is beautiful.
yeah, and I've just enjoyed the ride ever since film festivals. It's won an award for best documentary short, and actually this weekend coming up, I'll be in Ocean City, Maryland, screening it as well. So yeah.
Exciting. Well, some of my students who took 1010 with me, now they're in 1020 that you're talking to today, they are familiar with Africatown and with the Descendants documentary. They actually helped last semester. I had several students do a Q&A with Joycelyn Davis. I had
Nice.
met her kind of similarly. I found her on Instagram and asked her about I'm working on dissertation on Zora Neale Hurston and different Black women preservationists.
Mhm.
So I asked if I could come down. I'm definitely not a documentarian, though. I would have messed that up. Yours is amazing. I got the opportunity to watch it last night, but definitely have gotten to know her. Some of the students right now in this class, and some of them who took me, putting up with me 2 semesters in a row, they've been helping do a fundraiser. So Joycelyn, where her ancestors founded right next to Africatown is Lewis Quarters. So they are helping raise money right now. So I definitely wanted some people who had already been introduced to Africatown and the Descendants documentary to get a different spin on it now, just a little bit to continue inspiring them with their fundraising that's due at the beginning of March. So really excited about this.
Yeah.
They're going to be working on your documentary and then, of course, learning from you from this interview today to write their lit analysis essay. So really excited. I'm going to show y'all a couple other things on the background here. So this, of course, is a documentary y'all are going to be looking at later that Frederick Murphy has produced. And as he was just discussing that beautiful artwork on the cover, but he has some other documentaries as well. So if you're interested in his work, The Other Side of the Coin, Race, Generations, and Reconciliation. When did you do that one?
That one was released in 2020. We started filming that in 2018.
Okay.
And that one questions pretty much where we're at in society as it relates to race relations.
Mhm.
What does reconciliation look like? Does it look like anything throughout a span of different generations, right?
Mhm.
And so that's why I named it The Other Side of the Coin, because you always have multiple perspectives. But unfortunately, in this society, we're usually just given one perspective. And
Mhm.
but we know that to not be true, right?
Mhm.
Everyone has their own autonomous way of thinking if you are true to your authentic self. Now, if you
Mhm.
just go with the status quo and what has been given to you, then it's very difficult to differentiate your true authentic self versus everyone else in the herd. And so I wanted to get a deeper understanding of where some people were at with this thing called race, which is,
Mhm.
of course, a created construct that has no factual evidence to what it is outside of creating a hierarchy in this country, for sure.
Exactly.
Yep.
They know I'm very adamant, always advocating, always talking about this, and definitely white supremacy, and like you just said, a complete construct of race. They are also, and you are as a TSU alum, familiar with what's going on even at their own university right
Yeah.
now with the issues with the state and gentrification around North Nashville. They did some
All
projects
my
on that at the
family is
beginning of
from
the
there.
semester.
Yeah, a lot of my
And some of them went out and protested last week at the states because of what's happening with not getting funding and what has been continuing to go on with the PWIs versus TSU, and now the white, legislative trying to control the Black board members. So they might be interested in that, definitely. And then you have another documentary I see down this award-winning called The American South as We Know It. Was this your first documentary or just the first award-winning one?
Yeah, so this was my very, very first documentary back in, we started shooting this in 2016.
Okay.
Um, and since then, it's just kind of been leveling up.
Hmm.
These individuals are my family members. If
Okay.
anyone's from the Dixon County area, then this is, I believe this is the Cabin Row School, um,
Hmm.
which is out there in Dixon County. The school's not there anymore, but the community's still there, Cabin Row.
Hmm.
And I believe this one's Cabin Row. So just for individuals who live in those areas. So I was raised in Clarksville, Tennessee, but most of my family, after the institution of slavery, um, created community in Clarksville as well as Dixon County. And so
Hmm.
I just got a slew of folks from both sides. And then after emancipation, a lot of my folks moved to Nashville, North Nashville. Still got family members there. My grandfather lived around the corner from the school. Aunts, uncles, all up around TSU. So super duper familiar with the area. But yes, so this was my very first film. We just got a little cheap camera, went out and throughout the South, went to Tennessee. Dr. LaRotha Williams is in this as well. So Dr. Williams, this one, again, don't judge the quality because this is my first go at it. I got burnt out with therapy, and I was just like, man, I got to figure out something that provides some type of balance because this therapy
Hmm.
wear me out. And so I went on the road to Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, interviewing individuals about their specified experiences during Jim Crow. And so that's what the American South is, as we know it is. And we're actually starting to work on part two. And we'll be filming starting off in, we already filmed in Selma, Alabama. But the next person that we're going to be filming is in Charleston.
Okay.
Charleston.
Okay.
So,
So I
yeah.
know you just mentioned Alabama. That's where I'm from originally. And then I know you said originally you're from Tennessee. Right now, where are you living right now and a counselor?
Yep. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yep, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, but blessed to be working a little bit of here and everywhere. Um, Still doing a lot of work in Tennessee. Got some
Hmm.
filming coming up in Tennessee in April, and
Hmm.
next month I'll be in Eastern Tennessee, finishing up on a film that I'm working on called App Soul, Appalachia Soul, which we're focusing on Black folks in Appalachia. So I try to do an eclectic variety of things and things that maybe aren't necessarily so mainstream
Hmm.
because these unheralded stories I feel are more familiar with the average person versus our Martin Luther Kings and the people that you always hear about, right? Like
Yes.
there's a lot of unheralded heroes in our own communities, even
Hmm.
every community that you all came from, right, or still live in. So we have to be good stewards and do our best to try to reach out to those individuals and amplify their experiences as well.
So I love that. I mean, obviously, everyone has to start somewhere. So I'm sure some of them might be aspiring filmmakers, communications. They're all into social media and stuff as well. So we definitely will not judge you. I'm sure it's amazing. And like you said, it was just your first one. So I love how you talked about, though, like balancing out where you got burned out with therapy. I know that probably has to be a lot. And I know something my dad had always discussed as well, that people don't think about often, is when you are the therapist hearing all those stories, even though you're wanted to support, that it does take a lot out of you. So I love that you found another outlet, and you're pouring into other communities, other cultures, and like you said, highlighting those that are not often as highlighted. Some of the things right now, if you're looking at his recent social media posts, he is definitely posting recently about some markers that he's helping put up. I think they're in Tennessee, historical markers similar to what y'all are trying to help raise money for in Alabama. They're in Africatown near Mobile. He travels to lots of different areas, and we'll see things that, like he was talking about, are off the beaten path or people who are not as acknowledged, like the highlighted, like Malcolm X's MLK. He mentioned Dr. Leah Rotha Williams. I've talked to y'all about at TSU, and y'all also know that was the book that you all did your annotated bibliography with, was authored, edited by him. So you're familiar with him and how he also does that, highlighting people and social injustices that are often not as highlighted. And so anything else that you would like to tell them, to encourage them about their journey, both at TSU or just with their own initiatives, genealogy, history, psychology, anything?
all that stuff, right? I would always say stick to your authentic self. Um, I think that in everyone's life, there's this phase to where we're all trying to kind of figure this thing out. And the fact of the matter is, none of us were given this blueprint in this thing called life.
Mhm.
I always thought I was going to be a therapist and therapist only.
Mhm.
It took burnout for me to recognize that I'm not a monolith. I don't have to just be one thing. And as Black folks, we aren't that. As
Mhm.
Black and Indigenous folks, we aren't that. We are a variety of different things that galvanize to make this big thing. But what we can't do is create restrictions for ourselves mentally because of the social norms that have been created for us. So I just want to encourage each and every single one of you to be the torchbearers. Grab those torches and keep them going, because at some point in time, I'm gonna slow down. I mean, I don't foresee it happening anytime soon, God forbid. Um, but somebody has to be there to continue to pick things up. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, just be your genuine, authentic self. Love yourself. Make sure self care is important. Make sure to continue to create this sense of harmonious joy around you. Rid yourself of any type of toxicity that isn't lending anything positive in your life, and just stay focused on the course of doing such. If any of you all have any creative things that you would like to potentially collaborate on, definitely let me know. And I got to put out this plug. So in Clarksville, if anyone's from Clarksville or is visiting Clarksville, I erected, along with I'm president of Tennessee African American Historical Research Group, and we're based out of Clarksville. But last year we put up 4 historical markers, and in April we're going to be putting up the 5th. The Negro Fairgrounds, which is on Austin P State University's campus. Pope G. Garrett, he was a businessman in Clarksville, Austin P's campus. The 101st USCT Colored Troop is going to be right there. That's right there on Austin P's campus too. It's going to be erected in April. Africatown, so not Africatown, but Africatown. There was a place where former freedom seekers and individuals who were freedmen after the Civil War, they created this community, and it was labeled Africatown by the former enslaver, whose name was Barker, there at Dunbar Cave area. So we put up a historical marker for that as well, collaborating with people at the state park for that. And then last but not least, and I'm proud of all of those, but this one is I'm really proud about this one. Downtown on 2nd and Franklin Street, we erected the Clarksville Slave Market. So similar to what Dr. Williams and his brass did there at TSU, we also have the Clarksville Slave Market historical marker that's put up right there at downtown Clarksville. So that was all done last year on the same day. And also Lincoln Homes. So Lincoln Homes housing project. And I don't really like calling them housing projects. Lincoln Homes housing is put up a historical marker for that as well. When this place called Black Bottom was destroyed due to urban renewal, most of the folks moved from there, and all the Black folks got put into Lincoln Homes, and all the white folks was put into another housing units called Summit Heights.
And this is when you said Black Bottom in Nashville or Black Bottom in Franklin or Clarksville? Clarksville, sorry. Okay. So that's another location similar to what he mentioned about Africatown, similar to Africatown. There's several different freedom towns or founded by Black people towns that have similar names. So there's one in Murfreesboro called the Bottoms. And then in Nashville, there's one that we talked about that I'm doing one of my dissertation chapters on, that I mentioned about the church we're trying to put the marker up for. That was also a Black Bottom. And then, like you just said, there's a Black Bottom in Clarksville. So tons of history, not just in Tennessee, but all the different locations. I know a lot of y'all are not from Tennessee. So definitely something you should reach out, look into your own history, your local history, if you're interested at all, or from a psychological aspect, get inspiration from Mr. Murphy, or from, like he just said, any of your passions. You're not a monolith. You can do anything that you literally want, and you can change your mind millions of times, like he was saying he did, like I'm doing for my degree. So So really be encouraged with that. Again, I want you to check out his social media and be inspired. He does all kind of cool stuff about his family, his history. Then sometimes he just posts like cool quizzes. I saw the other day, I don't want to give away the answer, but it was a cool jar of something you might be familiar with, your family might eat or make from their garden. And then he did a cool one the other day. I know they're coming out with the new version of A Color Purple by Alice Walker. I saw he did a post about that the other day at the actual house. So you might be familiar with some of the things you'll see him do, and he's pretty funny as well. So you can check out his humor as well as all the cool stuff he's doing with history and everything. So thank you so much again for joining us, for inspiring them, hopefully. And I'm sure some of them might reach out to you with ideas on your social media or email or anything like that.
That's what's up. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you again for coming out and for visiting with us. And thank you so much.